Hello there, many thanks for joining us in our Monday Business News Report. It's now time to bring you the feature on the show today as we look at the transportation sector in Nigeria, which is one of the sectors taking a major hit. Now, first was the issue of petrol scarcity, plaguing the average Nigerian with a sharp impact on the inflationary pressure on goods and services. Then there was aviation fuel scarcity, which also plunged the aviation sector almost to a ground halt. And our rail transport facing the backlash and mixed reactions from the most recent Abuja-Kaduna rail attack, flaring up the already heightened level of insecurity in the country. Well, joining me now to discuss this and much more virtually, I have strategist and policy analyst, the Group CEO, Global Investment and Trade Company, Baba Yusuf. Thank you very much for joining us on the Breakfast Show this morning, Mr. Yusuf.
Thank you for having me, David.
Now, the first quarter of this year saw the surge in the price of Jet A1 fuel, and then we also had a scarcity which left passengers stranded with flights either cancelled or delayed. We also had issues around petrol scarcity as well, where so many had to buy fuel well over the 162 to 165 price band. And then in just last week, we also saw the attack on the Abuja-Kaduna train axis, which still leaves gory details better left unimagined. Now, in all of this, it is clear that insecurity really is getting worse in the country. But this also puts even more pressure on the overall cost of transport now in the country, looking at road, rail, and even air. What do you make of this economic cost of insecurity on travel, commerce, and how it also heightens the fragility of the Nigerian economy?
The situation is dire, very unfortunate. We are progressively retrogressing into the abyss of economic downturn due to insecurity as a result of heightened insecurity, as a result of banditry, kidnappings, insurgency, which I can safely call acts of terrorism. When you mention cost of transport, I will say cost of living. The entire cost of living has escalated over the years, over the past 12 years since the insurgency started. It has been escalating, leading to serious economic impacts, on the citizenry, on the economy. And yes, of course, the terrorists have been evolving. They have been consolidating, gaining ground, spreading across from northeast, northwest, north central Nigeria, which is a very worrisome situation. The strategy also of the terrorists have been modified over time, meaning they are achieving their objectives. We can see them taking territories, and like you mentioned earlier on, the unfortunate incidents of last week. First, the attempt to take down the Azman aircraft in Kaduna, and then the attack on the train, Kaduna-bound train, tells us clearly the clear and present dangers, and possibly the potential calamities that await us if critical actions are not taken. So cost of living is actually a secondary issue. The survival of Nigeria as an entity and the survival of the people for them to actually earn a living, which is going to be a function of cost of living, are very critical at this point in time.
Use your area of practice now within the logistics and supply chain as a case study for infrastructure development roadmap to support rail, road, water, and air transport. Now, in terms of the clear policy direction to ensure safe movement, what are the critical elements of infrastructure development for road, rail, water, and air transport do you think are the current blind spots for government, really? Because from a surveillance to information technology adoption strategy, we seem to be lacking.
In political economy, there is this saying, quote, war is the health of state. When you talk about policy is supposed to be, an offshoot of an overarching strategy. So the question is, what is the strategy to contain and ultimately eliminate these acts of terrorism and insecurity. It is from that strategy that we should now have policies that will enable achievement of those strategic objectives. Earlier this year is a good one that bandits, kidnappers, and people in that realm have been declared terrorists by the federal government. Attorney General, Minister of Justice made that declaration. But policies, David, are just policies, if not acted upon. They are like regulations and rules. They remain in the books until they are actioned. The situation we are in is not a function of lack of policies, but a function of the right strategies and the appropriate actions, proactive as they should be, to subdue, contain, eliminate, and consolidate our state. As you are aware, the terrorism is not a local issue. The Sahel region has been suffering the vagaries of insurgents, the ISWAP, and other, groups, terrorists, Mali, Burkina Faso, Chad, Cameroon, and others. We have seen this over time. And where we are today is for us to see how we can immediately contain and subdue this situation. Malam Nasir El-Rufai, His Excellency Governor of Kaduna State, last week highlighted some critical tactical initiatives, that have been undertaken. But with regards to information, surveillance, and reconnaissance, but those actions are not going to impact unless they are able to impact proactively. The way and manner the military responded, which should be applauded, to the Kaduna-bound train situation, tells us much about the need for us to be more proactive in responding to intelligence and responding to such situations. To that extent, the policies that we have already are policies that should be actioned, if any. But I will use this opportunity to say that there is serious need to review the entire security strategy of this country, because obviously the terrorists are modifying their strategy, they are achieving milestones, and they are gaining ground without requisite or equivalent counter maneuvers by our country.
Exactly. Mr. Yusuf, now wrapping up our conversation, how do you also see the general insecurity situation in the country rid the nation of any prospective growth? From a wider picture now, we've seen the impact on agriculture and food production crisis, transportation, and the anxiety and heightened cost of transportation. We've also seen the impact as well on tourism, which is almost non-existent now in the country. For the investing populace, all these issues belittle to the barest minimum any interest of any investor, both local and foreign, in taking Nigeria seriously as an investment hub, irrespective of its size or mineral and human resource base. There are no quick fixes, yes, we all agree. But as politicking is underway, how do you see this shape up the economic agenda of the new government coming in next after the Buhari administration is over come next year?
Thank you, David. We have about a year plus before the current administration exits. And the kind of damage that will happen between now and then, I would rather, leave to our imagination. So what is critical is not even the politicking or the agenda of the incoming government, but the actions, the strategies and actions that are being deployed or that should be deployed immediately as matter of national priority to, first of all, ensure the sustainability of our territorial integrity as a nation. Secondly, the safety and security of our populace to go about undertaking, their daily affairs. David, you should note that Nigeria is driven, the Nigerian economy is majorly driven by the informal sector. The International Monetary Fund actually confirmed in 2017 that the Nigerian informal sector contributes 65% to the GDP, okay? And that is over half of the GDP of this country. Also, the IMF confirmed that 80% of the Nigerian populace operate in the informal sector. That is almost about 160 million of over 200 million people. Okay, another worrisome scenario is the World Bank, gave a poverty index indication that by 2022, the number of poor people in Nigeria will hit about 95.1 million from about 85.1 million last year or thereabouts. Now, these are the critical issues to be addressed now with regards to the sustainability of the economy, the safety of our populace, and then moving forward, we can see how we can improve. The entire logistics value chain has been impacted, rail, air, road, and to that extent, no sector can continue to thrive. With regards to foreign direct investment, is a no-brainer. Nobody will invest in an economy that is highly insecure, where security is compromised.
Thank you so much for your time on The Breakfast Show. We hope government is listening, and we hope that this whole insecurity situation gets better, because we cannot continue at this pace. Thank you once again for your time.
Amen for that. Thanks for the opportunity.